Thanks for what you do with your podcast and all the rest. You're doing a great job. Hope everybody keeps tuning in. You get a lot of good info, a lot of insights, understandings of how to get strong, how to stay strong, how to use your strength.
You do a great job, dude. You make things better than they are in real life, I think.
If you don't follow Massenomics, y'all do it. Social media, website, everything.
Massenomics.
Welcome to all our return listeners, and a special welcome to all our new listeners. If this is your first episode, this is the Massenomics Podcast, the lifting podcast about nothing. My name is Tanner.
And my name is Tommy.
How many people do you think are hearing our voices for the first time ever right now? Thousands?
10,000?
Tens
I think that's
of
pretty
thousands.
Conservative, isn't it?
Yeah, I think that's safely
It's
within that
every
range.
week, tens of thousands of new people.
Imagine that.
Yeah, it'd be something.
Texas Power Bars couldn't afford us anymore.
No, not many people could.
But as for now, they can, and so can our other sponsors, like Juggernaut AI. Come with me for this ad if you want to lift. I need your clothes, your boots, and your individual weak points on the major lifts. We're talking about Juggernaut AI, of course, and that was my patented Arnold Schwarzenegger impersonation, specifically like the Terminator version of Arnold.
Yeah.
I don't know if you could tell by the inflection.
Humanoid robot there from Austria.
Right. And we were just talking about our Juggernaut AI program. Both of us are on
PRs every day, baby.
Week 11 of our respective training cycles. And you were just saying how good your squat training was going today.
It is. I'm, coming back from a long injury, and it's almost like weekly I'm hitting PRs, and I'm not lying about that. Like not all-time PRs, but like post-injury PRs.
Yeah.
Which is great. Momentum. Haven't felt that in a long time.
Absolutely. And other great parts about the Juggernaut AI app and training is it can be easily customized to you. I was just talking in our Discord community earlier this week so there's some people that had some questions, and we're talking about working around some maybe pre-existing injuries or particular exercises that are particularly painful or pain points for individuals. You can work around that. It's actually
you pick the body part. Pick whatever you don't need loaded quite so much, and then you can work around that pretty easily.
And for those of us that have maybe been training for a long time or quite a while or several years, a decade, more or less, somewhere in there, that's important. That is because sometimes if you're locked into one thing exactly, you don't know what to do if you can't do that. Mm-hmm. And here there's options for that. A lot of other good things, and probably the best thing about Juggernaut AI is the discount code, and that's Massenomics. It'll save you 10% on the life of your membership. We'll be back next week with another Juggernaut AI ad read. So thank you, Juggernaut.
Thank you.
And then I was going to tell you all about SPUD Inc., another one of my top 6 favorite sponsors of the Massenomics podcast. And you can find them at spud-inc-straps.com. You'd know SPUD Inc. if you see them. They're the infamous yellow strap company. You almost can't mistake it. And if you've been involved in any strength sports, I guarantee you've seen them in their products before. And speaking of their products, they got a lot of stuff that they make there. I bet Spud's probably made, I wonder how many products he's made over the years. Probably hundreds, like
I was
400.
I was maybe going to get close to 1,000.
Yeah, so some of the special things that they've got there, some of the stuff we really enjoy, their bow ties that Donnie
Always
Thompson first came up with, of
belt
course.
Squat belt.
Yeah, the belt squat belt and all the other harnesses that they've got. Home gym pulley systems and the accessories that go along with that.
Some good spotter straps.
Yeah, spotter straps, and then training straps. I think that's probably one of the original things. When we talked to Spud, I'm sure he told us what the first one he ever came out with, but training straps are a classic. So if you ever need wrist straps and training straps, it's a go-to place. And then belts. Now that ratchet belts are allowed in USAPL,
Get your
I guess
ratchet on,
you could
baby.
wear a ratcheting Spud belt. And they've got some stuff that's if you're into strongman, check it out. They've got like some stone loading straps and some other things that are perfect for strongman. So check them out at spud-ink-straps.com, and you get free shipping on all orders $75 or more.
Yeah.
There we go.
Well, this is a kind of a special podcast for us, Tanner, because it's daytime.
Yep.
This doesn't happen very often.
No, we've been doing it a little bit over the last few months, but like once every 2-3 months, something like that, we might do one of these.
I kind of feel like my brain is firing on overdrive when we're in the day.
Yeah.
Not only because it's the daytime, but you just haven't had the day crush you down for so long. Just the exhaustion of the world
Yeah,
bearing down on you.
Your entire soul hasn't been beat all the way out of your body yet for the day. There's still a little bit left.
I haven't gone into this existential crisis mode yet, and I'm like, oh, I got to talk to people now.
Yes.
So I always feel like I'm coming at these episodes a little different than our later night episodes.
Right. Yes, I agree. It does feel a little bit different. Even just the sun coming in.
Well, yeah, and then the
has a
window
different
has
vibe.
light coming in it, which in the summertime we get a little bit of that.
Yeah.
But I mean, now we're getting a lot of it.
A lot of it.
A whole lot of it.
What are we kicking off with next here today? We had a few different things we wanted to touch on, right?
I can't follow along with the show if I don't have my phone on me. And it's over there. So
yeah, that's the problem. Okay. I wanted to hit everyone with a little. Well, first let's talk about the new drop that. I guess we didn't talk ahead of time what we're gonna pose this to as far as the Discord crew, because we have this group of Discord members that get to listen to the podcast live, so they're listening along here today. So for those of you that aren't listening live, we had a drop come out on Thursday, but in real time that's not until tomorrow, correct?
About 24 hours from now.
So do we spill the beans on it, or what do we do?
I don't know. I suppose we maybe could, huh?
Okay, we could at least spill the beans on some of it.
Yeah.
So we'll save one shirt for the details of one shirt for the end of this episode that we won't reveal until then. How's that?
That sounds great.
Okay. So the decal, first of all, that spills the least exciting, or the smallest
takes up the least physical area.
Right. So we have a new Massenomics decal, and it's our stencil logo. And when I say decal, I mean it's a vinyl,
like actual vinyl. It's not just a sticker. It's actually cut out.
Right. It's
you put
same
it down
as
on something, peel it away.
Right. So it's great for like back windows on cars is typically where you'd see that, or we've put it on some pieces of equipment in the gym, and it's super high quality. It's just like our lift one. If you have our lift one, it's the same thing, only it's the Massenomics with the like square Massenomics logo.
And you put one on the, what do you call it, like the arm of the assault bike?
Yeah.
Assault bike?
Echo bike.
Echo bike, yeah. And it looks like it actually came from the factory that way. It does look like it's a part of it. And this is a very similar material to what most people, if it's not painted on, are putting on their pieces of equipment. So
yeah. And then do we talk about Daddy's Home then?
So just to make sure people understand, it is a sticker you stick on things.
Right.
So
much like
a hat.
Classic, the hats that you wear on your head.
We don't want people to confused about what you do with this.
That was a real thing I said one time, not as a joke.
It's like a hat you put on your head.
You remember what that was specifically in reference to?
That was talking to John Anderson about what was that actually hat called?
A fedora, wasn't it? Or,
no. It was like I think of it as like a European hat of some kind. What the hell? It has like the tiny little brim on it. It's sort of like a brimless hat. I would think that like in Scotland, this has to be a very popular hat.
Like what they wear on Peaky Blinders.
That's what it was.
Yeah. What is that called? A flat cap. Yes. Flat cap. Yeah. I even have a few flat caps actually at home. When I got it pretty into Peaky Blinders, my wife got me a couple flat caps.
There you go. Flat cap.
I try to wear them and then I wear it and I'm like, I'm not that guy.
Well,
I am not that guy.
It's like you need to be like European or go to a brewery or something. I mean, you have the beard now, so it almost even works even better, Tanner. Like you're slowly becoming that guy.
Craft brews. Yeah. I'm the craft brew meme guy. Throw a flannel on me and the
we'll do this. We'll do this. We'll get the flat cap. We'll put a craft beer in your hand, and then we'll have you stand next to your record collection, and it almost like writes itself.
You're like, I am the most stereotypical version of that guy. Although I am not that guy.
But you kind of are that guy. Like,
actually, that's true.
Do you really get to choose if you are that guy?
Wait a second. I'm actually, that's maybe blowing my mind. Am I that guy
like
then?
Tanner's book of Tanner's book of how to wear a flat cap, have a record collection, and have
a flannel and drink a beer.
And honestly, it's not mine.
Yeah.
How did that get in there?
I just now realized I am that guy. The only thing that separates me from it is I'm not pretentious about craft brews. Like I'm missing I'm just missing like the
snootiness.
Yeah. For now.
Yeah, getting mad at or getting down on people for all that piss that they drink.
Yeah. But for real, no cap. Have you
for real flat cap?
Have you had a Michelob Golden Light? Now, if we're talking craft beers, whew, to die for.
It's actually been a long time since I've had one of those. And I was talking about this the other day that Mick Golden is actually kind of hard to come by nowadays. Like Ultra has just taken over so hard lately.
You're right.
It used to
Ultra is way more mainstream than it used to be like 10 years ago or 15 years ago.
But it used to be, I feel like any bar in town, you could get Mick Golden was on tap.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it really is anymore.
I used to have like a decent population of my friends that specifically drank that beer.
All of my friends from Minnesota, like Mick Golden was the beer they'd go to.
Yeah. It's one of my.
I couldn't even tell you the last time I saw it.
It's still one of my favorite craft beers.
Golden.
Probably in a Snapchat from me.
Probably.
I
might go buy some.
Yeah.
I might go get some just to really kick the weekend off.
It is ribbed for your pleasure.
I know. Not a lot of people realize that.
That's right. What were we talking about? The drop.
Oh, yeah.
The drop. Flat caps,
I got distracted there too.
Yeah, the drop. So Daddy's home for this drop, isn't he?
He's very home.
So we have a new flag and a new shirt themed around our Daddy's home collaboration.
We have the Jonathan Oldham.
Yeah.
Daddy's home. First ever Massenomics collab. We did have a Bacon and Beer Bells flag back in the day.
That's true.
But this is really, really building on that.
This is that on steroids, to use that popular phrase of
it is.
That was at like volume 4. We turned it up to 11 and then busted the knob off. Is what we did on this one.
We did, and it's loud. I mean, you're right. It is loud.
Yes,
this whole thing is. There's no way you're not getting attention wearing this item.
So the shirt, if you haven't seen it yet, what color is the shirt?
It's bright lime green.
Yeah, almost like neon.
It really is pretty much a neon. Like actually, I was editing the photos today, and it was kind of hard to edit because the shirt was so damn bright. That everything else was falling into darkness.
And it's got Big Jonathan on there in all of his glory. This, the flag, the original Bacon and Beer Bells flag was like a silhouette
of him jumping into the pool.
Yeah, and now this is a full-on artistic rendering of Jonathan in his
patented Speedo.
Yeah, in his Speedo, and it's just, you have to see it.
Have to see it to believe it.
Yeah, to really recognize how much Daddy has come home, because he's all the way home.
It is all the way home. So
and then there's one more shirt in the drop also.
There's another shirt. And this is more of a classic. This actually could be a new front runner for going out t-shirts. We always talk about
That's
how
true. The other one. Yeah,
the other one.
Yeah.
And are we leaving that one to secret? Is that what we said?
Should we do that?
Maybe we'll leave that one towards the end.
Okay.
But we always say everyone has like they're going to the gym Massenomics shirts and they're going out Massenomics shirts. The good pile, the workout pile and the nice pile. I think this could be making a pretty good case for being in the nice pile.
I think it's up there too.
I think so.
See, I think the Discord community they're all like live chatting. They're like chatting with each other, because there's a new Discord feature, maybe not new, but an additional feature where like you can do a chat group. I don't really know what it's something like that. Yeah, maybe it's within the event even. I don't know. But I think they can voice chat within the event even.
Oh, is that okay? So we're not like missing text.
I don't think we're missing text. I think that their voice can voice chat without us knowing what they're saying. Oh, no, nope.
All right, you're making me think that I was just missing all types of stuff here. But
no, you said there is a thread. I don't really know how that works.
They're setting us straight.
But there is a new event feature. Did you say we're utilizing that now?
Yes, live now. 622 podcast.
All right.
Do we got to do some follow-up from last week, Tanner?
Yeah, we've got a lot of follow-up to follow up on, don't we?
Do we need to do a weight class update?
Yes.
All right. So this is I'm really liking the live follow-up in the Discord. We have the book from Austin Powers with the security or the police guy holding it. And it's your picture on it, Tanner. It says record collections, flat caps, and micro beers. This sort of thing is my bag, baby, by Tanner Baird. And that is exactly what I had in mind.
Yes. I'm glad we live in a world that you can say that, and then seconds later, made.
And if you want to take part in this real time, you can just go to massenomics.com/join and get signed up for the Discord, and you too can be a part of this.
Not to jump ship on what we're already talking about, but people are, we're talking about Apple's new thing for the iPhone where you're going to be it's going to cut backgrounds off of people or objects automatically.
Just kind of hold your finger down on it and it'll tell
Is that already a thing or is that coming?
I mean, it's coming. There's like some people have the beta on their phones, so some people do have that feature. But yeah, it'll be coming this fall with iOS. Is it 16, I believe?
It made me think, like I've been doing that for years now on my phone through other things.
Yep.
And now it's like
easier your life could.
and it also like this is probably what photographers go through where they're like, oh wait, now everyone can do that thing that not that it's always the same.
But yeah,
but it's like, oh, now everyone can do like 80% of what I was always doing.
Well,
just with their,
yes.
Yeah.
So another good example of that
Yeah.
is when I make I mean, occasionally for my job have to cut things out. I'm not doing a ton of stuff with photos,
Yeah.
but occasionally I do. But the most common one is every single week we do a thumbnail that goes on YouTube,
Right.
and I have to cut the person out of their
Right.
background. And part of that used to be a huge pain in the ass because finding a good photo of someone, depending on the person, can be a bit of a challenge. And then also depending on the background they're in, can also be a huge pain in the ass too.
Mm-hmm.
And there was weeks where sometimes that selection part of cutting a person out could take anywhere between 5 minutes and 25 minutes, just depending on how complex it is. If they're missing like a shoulder and I kind of had to Photoshop a shoulder and things like that.
Yeah.
It could take a while.
Right.
Well, recently Photoshop added the same thing, like the detect person or whatever they call it, or detect subject. And now I just go and I click the button and it intelligently finds the person in 2 seconds. It puts them on. And then sometimes I just have to clean up a little bit, and it has made my life so much easier not having to spend time actually doing that part of it because it's just tedious.
Right. Well, it's but like even the app I use for now, like probably a couple of years, they have that feature where it's like auto crop person.
Oh, and it cuts them out for
Yeah.
you.
Well, and it's not always perfect though.
Yeah.
And my thought is like Apple's is probably going to be really good.
Probably better.
Or,
yeah.
you know.
Probably. I mean, they have a lot of resources they can throw at it to make it good.
Right.
So. But yeah, you are right. It is just another one of those things where, well, I mean, you could make the same argument like, having a radio show in the back in the day used to be a big deal.
And now,
It's now
that is
every
funny.
idiot with a microphone has a podcast. Actually, add that to the list of your book there.
Every two guys with
a record collection, flat caps, microbrews, and podcasts. This sort of thing is my bag, baby. Yeah, it just all keeps floating into there.
Yes. I like the memes about going to every garage sale. You're like, oh, I just wanted to find some old clothes and stuff, and it's all it is used podcasting equipment.
Because it is. Everyone has it. Everyone makes a shot at one, which is great. People should be able to make a shot, but it is a little, just slightly tougher than what it was.
Right. But what we were going to talk about was this weight class update.
Well, here, let's.
Okay.
This isn't a what's in the can.
It's a can.
We're just having a crispy cold lime beverage.
I could use one mid-afternoon beverage.
Oh, lime. Can you beat it? Can you really beat it?
I'll tell you what you can beat it with. Craft brew with so much hops in it that it almost makes you puke when you drink it.
If it doesn't give you instant cotton mouth, is it even doing anything?
I like that that's the thing, too. It's like the hoppier, the better. There is no, it's like that's the qualifier.
Well,
like,
nope. And it's fun to say this stuff because I do enjoy those beers, but it is fun that these stereotypes do exist and people do play into that.
That is my bag, baby.
Yeah.
The weight class update. So last week's episode, we had this conversation. I brought up the fact that nobody was competing in this like 114 pound weight class at USAPL Super Ultra Mega Nationals. Mm-hmm. And we posted a clip of that to our Instagram and to our TikTok.
And really the clip you posted was like, why does this exist? If
right.
no one's competing. Why is there a class for this?
Right. And I think it was just interesting to note that got a lot of feedback from people, a lot of comments, and it dug out like the 4 people in the world that compete in those weight classes that got all of them to comment.
Actually, you could say statistically it brought out a unsignificant amount of people that do participate in those.
Significant, very significant.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, yes.
Yeah.
A significant, yes.
A huge amount, a huge ratio of them
showed up.
Actually, yeah. Because we did a little more looking on that. And what's interesting, I was having kind of fun having conversations with people on that because some people are really passionate about it. And I noticed most of the people that were really passionate about it do weigh 115 pounds or their good buddy weighs 115 pounds. Mm-hmm. And there was not very many good points brought up.
I didn't think so either. I mean, most of them were like accusatory, like, oh, you guys are gatekeeping. It's like, well, but we're not trying to discourage anyone from participating. We're just saying, like, doesn't it make sense to participate in a way where you actually compete against people?
Right, because the idea is, well, no, those people compete against, you brought up the analogy. We don't have a 380 to 410 pound weight class.
Yeah, like it.
We don't have a 410 to 460 pound. You know, it's like,
yeah, like there comes a point where, like the bell curve, like, statistically, the most people are going to be in the middle of it. And then on both ends, it's going to taper off even smaller. But like on the top end, it just goes to what, depending on the federation, like 380 plus or whatever that is.
308.
308 plus.
Yeah.
And then it's just like, yep, all right. It doesn't matter if you weigh 375, 400, 450.
309.
You're just all the big boys now. Like we don't, and there are people that could be if there was a 350 plus class, there's a lot of guys that could show up for that one.
Yeah.
You know, but it doesn't exist because it just starts to just water it down.
And we don't complain too much about the 325 pound guy that he's got to compete against someone that weighs 425 pounds. I mean,
I feel like that's just the name of the game at that point.
Right. And that's the idea with someone that weighs 110 pounds. Like, yeah, still compete for sure. It's just that, you know, your weight class is 130 pounds. So either compete at a lower weight and, you know, look at your dots or whatever ratio you want to, or gain weight to get to the top of that class if you want to too.
Yeah. And the beauty about this is that with open powerlifting, there's numbers that can give you hard data on how this works.
Yeah.
And is it possible we're pulling the wrong filters here? Maybe. But
we tried a few different things and it all leads back to the same.
It does. So I didn't actually
conclusion.
believe how small these numbers were until you said. So just for example, we decided right here, we'll pick 2019 because 2022 isn't over yet. 2021, you could make the argument that there were still people not competing because of COVID.
Yeah.
2020, obviously the numbers are going to be trash. So in theory, 2019 should be a great year. Maybe one of the best years for as far as participation numbers go. So we pulled up 2019, and I think right away we're on open powerlifting. We have
all federations.
Yeah. Well, actually, let's not even go. Do we want to do all federations, or do we want to do IPF?
You can even do all federations because the number will still be so small that, because
I have it on the IPF number right now. So this is pulling supposedly IPF data from 2019, and then the other kicker, and I did not realize this, is because you get, I don't know, a few hundred people by default, but then you say, well, get juniors out of there.
Yeah.
Get teens and juniors. Get like people that would actually be in the open. And so in open powerlifting, we went to what they call the senior option, which is 24 through
34, maybe
24 through 34. So it's pulling people from that age group, which I think is a pretty good.
You got to filter out the teenagers, I guess, is our big thing, because that's where we're like, maybe there's some validity in being lighter,
like
weight
in high school and things like that.
Yeah.
And maybe that's just
because some kids actually do weigh that much. That is not crazy uncommon at that point.
Yeah. And I mean, but that brings up the argument, should that weight class exist just for kids? And then I could make a case that no. But does that need to exist then in the upper, like in the open division then, if that's the case? That's the confusing part of it.
Yeah. I mean, my thing is it probably doesn't need to exist in any, but if you do look at just the men, then so we're at the 24 to 30, not the juniors.
So we
and
pulled
not the
24
masters.
to 34. We're in the 116 pound class based off of, the IPF filter, and global competitors in 2019, 51 people worldwide. So that means if you know a person that can just show up and compete, you're number 52 in the world by just showing up.
And that's not, to be specific, that's not just the IPF Federation. That's just basically anyone that's 116 or under in all federations. It's just using the weight class as a filter. But if you're weighed 114 and that's not even pulling up any. But anyone under 116 in any federation that's above, in between the 23 and 35-year-old age bracket, there's 51 of them.
I'm so confused on this because honestly, I can't find, if I pull up IPF, like these people don't exist. Like I can't find.
There is so very few of them, but that's kind of the point. The one decent point that someone brought up in the comments and talking back and forth, and someone said, yeah, I competed in those classes. I used to compete in the United States and there was nobody in them ever. When I did move to Asia, there was quite a few more people competing. So maybe you can find some competing there more than here.
Man, I don't know. We're just talking about such small numbers. It's hard to find filters that actually pull people up.
But that's kind of the whole point of the whole thing. It's not about any individual or discrediting how strong they are. People are taking this as a discredit of how strong they are. That's not what it's about. It's about there's nobody competing in those weight classes.
Yeah, even all feds, this would be, I believe, all IPF divisions are all people that use IPF weight classes. In 2019, even the 130-pound class, there was only 326 people. So it's just like there's so few people competing in those. It almost seems like, wouldn't you just combine them together for the sake of, because this is a sport and the point of sport is competition.
Yeah.
At the lowest one, you will not have someone to compete against unless you're at a national meet, and then you might have, 1, 2, 5 people to compete against. Like essentially you don't have competition until you go to a global stage.
Right.
And even then you're talking about competing against 50 people, which makes it one of the smallest sports in the world, doesn't it?
Yeah. I mean, it just makes it so irrelevant with that few people. Like
it's been subdivided so much that by showing up, you're already in the top 50 in the world. Doesn't that seem like a weird thing for a sport?
And especially about a sport where the joke is participation trophies, that's just adds to that. That doesn't help the cause there.
Yeah. And to be fair, I mean, we think it's great that people at these weights compete.
Right.
Absolutely. That's the great thing about powerlifting. Everyone can compete and there's a spot for everyone. It just seems weird that you signify the smallest ones that much. Because we'd say the same thing if a new federation popped up and they had a 400-pound weight class. It's like, really? Did we really need
It'd be
to
like, well,
carve
look
out
at
a
the
space?
data. How many people are there really that weigh that much?
Yeah. What do we say? Even if there was 1,000 people, do we really need to carve out another space for people that weigh over 400?
Yeah.
Like, is that what's stopping the sport from doing things, is having that many
Do you
more
think
people?
there's more people competing over 400 or under 114?
I'd say over 400, don't you?
I would kind of guess so.
I mean, you can go to almost any powerlifting meet and find a man that's over 400 pounds there.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Or damn close to 400.
Right.
I shouldn't say over, but yeah, very, very close to 400.
Right.
There's going to be a guy like every powerlifter. I think everyone I've been to, there's been a guy that's very close to 400.
Maybe they just stick out a lot better in my memory than the 107-pound guys.
Could be it. You didn't realize those other guys were competing.
Oh, I didn't see you there.
But that is also the beauty of powerlifting. You can know exactly how many people over 400 pounds competed last year.
Yep.
And how many people under 100 or 113 pounds or less competed. So very interesting. I never would have thought to look at the numbers behind that, but it does kind of prove that there's just not many people in the world that fit that very specific criteria
There really isn't.
in this very specific sport.
How about a little supporting our supporting members? Would you like to
Yeah.
hear?
When do we got to get our guest on?
About now.
Okay.
But we still got time for supporting our supporting members, of course. This is one of our faster growing segment. It's relatively new, and we talked about our Discord community. This is where we recognize a few of those members each week on just some different life events or accomplishments. Could be competing, could be not competing related, could be a little bit of anything, but they all support us every month, and we like to give back a little bit. If you want to join the Discord community, you can sure do that. We'd love to have you do that.
I think it's turned into one of the fastest growing Wire fan club communities online.
They are really big into the Wire there. So if you're into the Wire,
as in me, I am too.
that's the Wire is a very, at least for now, a very central
reoccurring subject.
part. But the subjects do rotate in and out, so you're bound to find something that fits your interest in the Discord community. Mm-hmm. But the members this week, first on the docket is Sarah Strong. She competed in her first jiu-jitsu tournament and placed first with 3 submissions.
That's really cool.
Yeah. Wouldn't catch me trying that. Next is Big Minnie, who you might remember from such places as the Massenomics booth at the Arnold this year. Big Minnie competed, powerlifting meet. He did a 534 squat, a 360 bench, a 644 deadlift, big deadlift.
Nothing mini about those.
No, big Minnie. 1538 total. That was an 89-pound total PR.
That's
hell of a
gotta
meet
feel good.
then for Big Minnie. Good work. And I can only assume it's from all the stuff he learned working at the Massenomics booth at the Arnold this year.
All the insider secrets we gave him.
Right.
Yep.
Next was Big Chris Daminger. I guess I always say that. That's how I always say his last name in my head, but I don't know if I've ever said it out loud.
I was going to say the
I
same
just said
thing.
Big
I've
Chris.
never said it out loud,
Yeah.
but that is how I say it in my head too.
Daminger?
So we're probably both wrong.
Yes, that's correct. Maybe he's on today. Sometimes he listens live. I don't know. But anyways, he competed as well. He did a 501 squat, a 250 bench, and a 600 deadlift, another big deadlift.
Nice.
1350 total, and that was a 150-pound total PR.
God, these triple-digit PRs. That's serious.
Cut me off some of that.
Take what he's having.
So congrats to our supporting members this week. More fine work as always.
Good stuff, guys.
Yeah.
Don't let us down next week.
No.
Guys and girls, I should say.
Yeah. Do we got time for an ad? Quick,
Yeah. Let's hear from our friends over at Swisslink. In 1995, Maurice Big Mo Huffman founded Swisslink. He had a partner based in Switzerland, and their mission was to bring authentic Swiss Army goods to the United States and into the hands of those yearning for quality gear at uncompromised prices. Over the years, that mission expanded to nations across Europe and beyond. Now, for nearly 3 decades, Big Mo has been traveling far and wide in search of the best items for military forces around the world. Big Mo doesn't only find authentic military clothing for Swisslink, he brings in everything you can imagine, from Czech Army bedpans to Italian champagne glasses. At Swisslink.com, you can find classic military surplus uniforms, a great selection of military-issue backpacks, tools, wool blankets, NATO fuel cans, gas masks, emergency food, first aid kits, survival packs, camping gear, and so much more. Swisslink's unrivaled collection and dedication to quality customer service sets them apart from the rest. Treat yourself to the real thing with authentic military surplus and save 15% off your first order from Swisslink.com with code MASS at checkout. That's MASS to save 15%. Visit Swisslink at SWISSLINK.com. Thank you, Swisslink. Should I do one more of these right now, Tanner?
Should we do? Yeah, I think one more is good.
Today's show is also brought to you by Texas Power Bars. Buddy Caps first started lifting weights in the late 60s and began powerlifting in the mid 70s. At the time, he was working for Image Barbell, building gym equipment. Around 1976, a local machine shop started making Olympic bars for them, calling it the Image Bar. In 1977, Image Barbell became Champion Barbell. It was then that Buddy started looking at the bars with an intent of changing them for the better. In 1979, Buddy bought his first lathe to begin addressing the known issues. In 1980, his passion, drive, and purpose now had a greater mission. Buddy set out on his own to make what he believed was the greatest bar he'd ever seen and trained with, and the Texas Power Bar was born. It was strong as a house with the best knurling and was maintenance-free. Hundreds of state, national, international, and world powerlifting records have been and continue to be set and broken on the Texas Power Bar. To learn more about Texas Power Bars and buy one of their legendary bars, visit TexasPowerBars.com.
All right.
All right. Bye-bye, Discord.
Boot those guys off.
Oh, there they go. Okay.
And should we get Big Evan on the horn?
Let's do it.
All right.
Hello,
Big Evan, is that you?
this is me.
You are live on the Massenomics podcast with Tanner and Tommy.
What's up, Evan?
Hey, what's up, guys? Thanks for having me.
We're excited to have you on. It's been a long time coming, and we better make sure we say your last name right. Is it Centopani? Is that how?
That's right.
All right, we're geniuses.
Ding, ding, ding.
1 for 1 so far. It only goes downhill from here. No, we're excited to get you on. We've had a whole bunch of guests on over the years, but not all that many pro bodybuilders. And if you would have to take one look at us to know we don't know that much about bodybuilding. So,
Well, let me ask you, what pros have you had?
We've had Stan.
Stan Efferding,
We've had Ben Pollock.
Ben Pollock,
Okay.
John Anderson. Was he a pro bodybuilder? Do you know John Anderson?
Yep. I think he's a pro. Yeah.
Okay.
So wow. So really not many. So
No.
this is kind of special.
You are one of the most special guests we've ever had. Let's put it that way.
I love feeling special.
Yeah.
Well, right? Who doesn't love to feel special?
Yeah,
the best.
that's exactly right. So we are excited, and you kind of follow along with Massenomics on Instagram a little bit, so you kind of get our silly goose sense of humor. So that's the best when we don't have to like work someone into understanding that we're kind of
Trying to have a little fun.
yeah, right. You already get it.
Yeah, no, you guys put out some good stuff. I've been following you guys for a while.
Yeah. I remember the first time I saw it, I'm like, is this really?
I remember you texting me, Tanner, like, oh, Evan follows us.
And so maybe, we don't always go like deep in people's background story, but I think it would be good since we probably got a lot of people that listen to us, they train at home or maybe into a little bit of powerlifting, maybe do some strongman, that sort of thing. But I don't know that we have a lot of
people that follow bodybuilding super closely.
So I think it is like really valuable if you give us a little bit of your rundown on like what your history, getting into the sport, how long you've been at it, and some of that stuff.
Yeah, cool. So in 1972. No.
Wait, how far back are we going here?
So
that's our kind of rundown.
Started competing in 05. I was 23. I started in high school working out and all that. I was really, really heavy when I was a kid. I was like 2.25 in like 7th grade. But damn, really like
you were like Tanner size.
I was gonna say that was about what I was like at that. That was about what I was like at then, I think too.
I was big, I was fat, but I was actually like really strong. I had a cousin who lived next door who was like 5 years older than me, and like I could beat him up. And so I wasn't like just like a pile of mush. I was a really strong kid, always really active, but overweight. And, I just wanted to lose weight. Like, dude, bodybuilding or any of that stuff was never even on my radar. I just wanted to not be fat. So high school, like very beginning, I worked my way up to like running. Like I couldn't run a mile in gym class, but then after a year, I was running 5 miles a day. I lost 70 pounds. No clue what I was doing. I was just starving myself and all that. And finally, once I got thin, and I was like, like I'm still not like ripped. Like I still wanted to be like really, really lean. And then I realized I had to work out. So started working out. And by the time I graduated high school, I was like 2.25. I could bench 405. Like I was like, I really responded well to weight training. And throughout college, I got bigger and bigger. Found some special supplements, and
we liked you shared that. It was like what is the name of that little
right here, Anabolics 2005 and 2002, the books.
Yeah.
Oh my God! Somebody asked. I do a Q&A, and somebody asked me about that, and it took me back, and it was like, yeah, that was like the Bible for a while.
Okay,
just the cover of that book alone is pretty amazing.
Well, I think for so many people, because when people see that book, they're like, they feel this like similar. They get taken back. They're like, oh my God, yeah, that book. Because a lot of us had that, and whether we admit it or not, we had that book. So throughout college, I just got bigger and bigger. I hit like 280 in college, and I was getting like really strong. And by the time I graduated college, I was working out at a local gym, and there was a really big dude there. We started working out together, and he's like, "You got to compete." And I was like, "All right, I'll do a show." And he kind of guided me a little bit, and I ended up winning the heavyweights and the overall, and it was a pretty big show. And
what year was that?
That was 05. I was 23 years old, and that just kind of started everything.
So by the time you did your first competition, you were enormous. You were a huge dude at that point in time already then.
By that time, I had been as heavy as 280. I competed at 2.25, peeled. I was peeled, and, I was beating grown men. Like I was looking back, I was really good for 23 years old.
Yeah, that makes sense. So
No,
go ahead. Just where it went from there.
Yeah, from there it was like I ended up going to the Olympia that year just to watch. A friend of mine was friends with Gustavo Bedell, and he asked me if I wanted to go, so I went. And I was in the airport on the way back, and I ran into just so happened Dave Palumbo was on the same flight as me, and I'm sitting next to him in the airport, and we just got talking. He's like, "Oh, who are you?" and so on. And he looked me up, and he's like, "Wow, geez, this was your first show. You look great. You should do another show." And at that point, I wasn't even thinking of competing again. Like it was just going to be something I did one time. And he's like, no, you've got to do it again, and you should do the junior nationals. And so he helped me for that. And then I won that. I won the overall. And then I went to nationals that year, and I took runner up to the guy who ended up winning the overall. So then I was like, all right, I guess maybe there is something here. So then I came back the next year and I won nationals. So I was 25 when I turned pro, and I think that was my 4th show.
Okay.
Yeah, that's good progress.
So I was lucky to progress, to ascend quickly. I did really well, really quickly.
Were you crushing things in terms of training and diet like right off the get-go? Do you think you had an awesome base to begin with? Like why were you doing so well so fast? Is it like partly genetics or just a combination of all that stuff? What do you
I think it was everything.
Yeah.
You know, I know I have decent genetics. Like my dad never lifted a weight in his life, and he has bigger forearms than I do.
Yeah.
No, for real. And he went through 6 years of cancer treatment. His forearms are still bigger than mine.
Yeah, right. That probably doesn't hurt.
So there's that.
Yeah.
But even from the time I started, I was always really crazy about it. Like, really, really diligent. I never drank or, did drugs throughout high school or college. I was always ultra focused. I'd probably say in hindsight, more obsessed. And it probably is what helped me to excel at it because I was really, really fixated. Don't you? You've got to. I think so. I think to really excel at anything, people who excel in different areas of life, whether it's different types of business or a sport, you kind of have to be, I think.
Yeah, and I think particularly in like the strength training or gym environment sports, particularly bodybuilding, because it is so much more of a 24/7 sport. I mean, I know like powerlifting kind of is in a way, although the diet is not even remotely on the same
cardio.
Right. It's like it's so much more to it than just the gym when you're talking, professional bodybuilding.
Right. There's so many things to it, like you said, and it's the diet, it's the training. Is there a genetic factor? And do you have that drive in the gym? And I mean, from the time I started, it was always train as hard and as heavy as possible. And I never had much of an issue with the whole intensity thing. And I was literally just having this conversation with a client this morning, and I was maybe expressing a little bit of frustration. Some of the clients that I work with, and kind of looking at things in terms of like comparing it to maybe what it was like when I was coming up. And granted, a lot of the people I help, they don't have maybe the same aspirations that I did, but maybe the things that they'll complain about is sometimes so mind-boggling, because I look back and I mean, I gave my client this example. I mean, you guys remember Phenoplex pellets, the cartridges?
I don't know. I don't think I know what those are.
Oh God. All right. So, everybody talks about trend.
Right? Yes. Yep.
All right. Back in the day, now this is like the early 2000s, it wasn't easy to come by. It's not like it is now. The whole world, that whole underground world shifted in the early 2000s because like you used to get a lot of things that came from Europe, that came from South America. And when that whole Operation Raw deal happened, a lot of doors closed. So a lot of kind of legitimate avenues that were otherwise open were now shut. So it opened the doors. People started using raw materials from China and compounding things on their own. Then came all the underground laboratories. But Trenbolone, like you didn't used to be able to really buy that. Somebody you knew had to make it, or you made it yourself. And the only way you made it, because you weren't getting it like raw material from China, there were veterinary supply places online, and you had to buy boxes of it's called Phenoplex H.
Okay.
And it contains cartridges. And the cartridges are made to load in a gun, and then they shoot them in the cattle. I don't know if it's in their ear or somewhere in their skin.
Back in the day, I worked on a farm where I literally did that. I would shoot those in like a cow's ear. Like,
okay, so those cartridges, we used to take them and break them open, crush the pellets up, dissolve them. And there's a whole process. And because basically there's glue and binders, you got to filter it all out, and you make it into a viable, usable substance. So my point being, like, people are complaining to me, I'm sick of eating this. And then thinking back, motherfucker,
I was a chemist.
I was making shit from cattle pellets. And you're complaining to me that you're bored about your diet. Yeah. So it's I don't know. Yeah, I guess I was always maybe a little hyper focused.
Oh, that makes sense. But so
you don't just get to casually do that, do you?
Right. That doesn't happen on accident. And you mentioned your training. So then or now, or relative to bodybuilders, did you train heavy on the compound movements? Because I know that I've heard some of the both that some people don't find that all that necessary, but like when it's coming to like a squat or a bench coming up, were you consistently training those movements and relatively heavy?
For better or for worse, I always went as heavy as I could, which in hindsight was probably kind of detrimental. If I could go back and change any one thing, I probably would have spent more time doing maybe mobility work or accessory type work. But yeah, man, when it came to squatting, benching, deadlifting, yeah, dude, I always went as hard as I could. I mean, my best lifts.
Yeah, that's what I want. That's what I had wanted to get to, is some of your better sets or any of that stuff.
So, I mean, on a flat bench, I remember doing 4 plates for 12 to 15 was not that uncommon.
Yeah.
The heaviest I ever went was 4 plates and quarters on each side. I got that for 8. I never did anything heavier than that. I don't know what I could do beyond that. Squats, 6 plates for 8, deadlifting 6 plates for 12, barbell rowing 4 plates for 10. I used to be able to do standing behind the neck. Okay, standing behind the neck overhead barbell press with 2 plates and a quarter, like to the traps for 10. Yeah. I mean, even the thought of that now, my spine wants to just fall out.
Those are some crazy weights, and the crazy part of it from like the side of the world that we sit on is that like you not having the temptation to do like say a 455 bench for a set of 8, and not to be like, I wonder what 5 plates is like, like just like, cause like that's not your end goal. But like it makes sense because it's not your end goal, but just to think of it through our eyes, not to be like, I wonder what 5 plates in a quarter, if I could do that, like to resist doing that, because like the risk to reward probably wasn't worth it for you. There's no reason to do that, but it's just crazy to think about resisting that when you obviously could have done it.
Maybe I wouldn't have been so intimidated by it if I had more technique, because legitimately, if somebody said, okay, well, if you can do, 4 plates for 12 to 15, then with 5 plates, but I honestly, 5 plates would scare me, because I don't, I would always be afraid of, well, what if I injure myself? Right. Or probably if I had more technique and maybe worked more in that range, I would have felt more tempted to do it. But I was always like, keep it away.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. Those are some impressive numbers
very,
too.
Very
and
impressive.
What's like, so your heaviest weight, training weight or competing weight, because you compete in super heavy weight, right? The highest weight class.
So this 1 year after I turned pro, it was an off season, and I don't know why, but I just kept putting on weight. It's not because I was using a lot of gear or anything like that. The weight just kept coming on. I ended up at like 318.
Yeah.
Wow.
And that's morning weight. Like, that's not like, I ate 5 meals and drank a gallon of water. That was like I woke up and took a leak, and that was what I weighed. And my highest stage weight was 270. But probably my best though was somewhere around 250, mid 250s. Was probably the best blend of size and condition that I would ever achieve.
And so when you were at that weight, like roughly where are you at in your career at that point?
So that was 2012, 13. So I had been a pro for six or 7 years, and I was, let's see, in my early 30s.
Okay. We always do a little back end research before we have anyone on. We do a little search and see what we pull up on Instagram, just Google search, anything like that. And it's funny, you have a pretty detailed Wikipedia page. Have you ever looked at that before? It's been
a while, but I mean, I'm aware that I have one.
Yeah. And I just wondered, it's a funny thought when I was thinking about it and asking you, like, who's putting all that? Like, do you ever wonder who's putting all that in there? And have you looked at it? Like, is that all accurate? I just wonder, because there's a lot of information in there. I'm like, his father, he had born to an Italian father and an English mother and stuff like that. And I'm like thinking, if it was me, I'm like, who is coming up with that?
The family tree here.
Yeah. I'm like, who's getting that?
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
I haven't looked at it recently, so I wonder if someone's like keeps just slowly dripping in more details.
Yeah, I suppose that's how it works, but it's a funny thought. Like,
but you've probably been featured. I mean, do you know how many magazines you've been in over the years?
No clue.
I mean, it's a lot, right? I mean, like, it would be a shitload, I suppose.
Featured, yeah. But see, the interesting thing is that from the time, before I was even a pro, I was fortunately, I had the good fortune to be offered an exclusive magazine contract with Muscular Development.
Okay.
So over the years, that's the only magazine I specifically shot for. I was then featured in other magazines, but I was under contract with them my entire career. So any cover I was on, it was theirs.
Interesting.
Okay. Well, and that brings up a big thing too, like, Animal Pack, or what is it? Universal Nutrition, is that like the parent company or whatever it is? But I always think of it as Animal. You, like, we were talking, like, if we were to think of someone that is like a face of Animal, it's kind of you. I don't know who else it is for sure, but like when we think of Animal,
it's like,
we think
it's
of
like
ads.
your picture. Like,
right.
when we think of these black and white, when we think of these black and white ads that Animal's known for, it's like you're the guy in black and white.
Right. So you've had that.
Yeah.
I mean, must have got that deal pretty early on in your career too.
Yes. I mean, that was 2006, right after I did the junior nationals and I won, and Muscular Development offered to bring me out to California. It's so funny because, at the time I'd only been with my girlfriend for like a few months, and she was kind of like just, exposed to this whole world of bodybuilding. And, honestly, in her head, she's probably like, what the fuck? So here she is in Chicago with me, and I just win this thing. And Muscular Development's like, oh, hey, come to LA. We're going to shoot you for a cover, which was really, really cool. But in my head, I was like, I can't just leave her. Like, she's been through this now with me, and she's here. I can't just send her home. So in my head, I was like, well, I'm going to ask them if they'll bring her also, and if not, I'm just going to go home. Which in hindsight is kind of hilarious. But they said no problem and all that. But I got the cover on the magazine, and then that kind of catapulted a lot of things, because back then amateurs really didn't get covers on magazines. And it was really soon after that kind of my phone started ringing, and I talked to a lot of really prominent companies at the time and was made some pretty good offers. But at the end of the day, just the conversation that I had with the guys at Universal, it just kind of felt like, they were interested in me because, yes, they knew about me because of my competitive success, but it wasn't like that was everything to them. And I kind of liked that. And I felt like maybe there was a greater potential for a long-term relationship. And 15 years later, it turns out that I was right.
Yeah.
And that's almost got to be unheard of too, because one, a company lasting for 15 years in this industry is nearly impossible.
Yeah, right.
And then two, for you to also remain relevant and not drop off the face of the earth is kind of unheard of too. So it was kind of the perfect mashup for you guys.
It's something I'm really, really proud of. I mean, I've seen guys over the years, if they're with a company for a few years and they move on to another one,
right,
that's really common. And for my own, what I felt like was the strength of my own brand, I never wanted that to be me, because you'll see a guy and one day, oh, this brand, it's the best. And then, next year it's, oh, I'm with this company now. They've got the best stuff.
Yeah, how do they have the best stuff? The other guys just had the best stuff. Yeah.
You just told me he had the best. Yeah, it looks terrible, and it's so disingenuous, and I feel like it looks really bad. And I never wanted that to be me, because I felt like at the end of the day, and I felt this way at a young age, and I'm glad that I did, but I felt like at the end of the day, people have to trust what you're saying. And if you don't have that, forget it. You've got nothing.
Yeah.
So it ended up working out really well over the years with them, and I'm really proud, because it's almost like dog years. I mean, 15 years with a company in the bodybuilding world is like being
crazy.
With a company for like 40 outside of it.
That's like a life sentence.
Yeah.
So did they have, when you look at Animal, like they are known for they're very, I mean, you could say iconic imagery and they're known for that style. Did that black and white kind of gritty look, did that exist before you got there, or has that been like a thing you guys have developed together?
No, that was already in place.
Okay.
So Brian Moss, who, who became their go-to photographer and to some degree a partner with them over the years, that was largely his brainchild, that whole style. And Frank McGrath, I think, was there 1 year maybe prior to me getting there, but Brian utilized a couple just kind of local, maybe national level guys. And that was the interesting thing with them, was they needed a bodybuilder, right? Because they want, for physical purposes, right? For the aesthetic of it, but they wouldn't really necessarily show the guy's face. So they didn't really need somebody who was famous necessarily or winning the Olympia, because their whole brand wasn't based on that, which was really kind of smart on their part.
It is.
In contrast to like maybe a BSN where, like Ronnie really put them on the map and took them to the top. But then when Ronnie exits, you kind of need the next Ronnie. And Animal really kind of grasped that concept that a good brand, is about way more than, any one person, or it's really ultimately going to be about an idea. And I think that's what they captured really, really well over the years.
I think that's spot on too. Just thinking about some of the pictures that have been out. We have this one hanging in our gym. You'll know the other two guys. It's the three of you like walking down
like in a parking lot or on a road or something.
Who are the other two? I mean, the one I'm talking about probably.
That was a great.
Yeah,
I think Brian has had so many good ideas over there. So, are you guys familiar with Diamond Gym? Have you heard of it? Do you know it?
I don't know.
Okay. So I guess maybe because it's more of a bodybuilding gym. So it's a old school gym started by this guy, John Kemper, who was a pro back in the 70s. Him and his wife, Shirley, started this gym in Maplewood, New Jersey. I mean, it's a real shithole area, like a real bad area, which to be totally honest, I feel like the best gym, you kind of need that environment. That's the best.
Yeah, it can't be too squeaky
Metro
clean.
Flex in what is it, Houston or wherever Ronnie trained out of? Where is that? I mean, that was kind of a dump in a way, isn't it too?
A dump, but like Diamond Gym, I mean, it's really in the middle of the hood. And the first time I showed up there, I'm like, I don't know, 25, and I've got my fucking cooler over my shoulder, and I'm walking up, and there's two dudes, big dudes, sitting outside on like the curb, and I hear one of the dudes go, "Who the fuck is this asshole?" That's the kind of gym I like to walk into, because it's, you're like, am I going to have the workout of my life? Am I going to get stabbed? I don't know.
Yeah.
It's I don't know. There's a certain energy there, and I like that. But this was that photo was in the parking lot of the supermarket across the street from Diamond Gym, and Brian's like, I've got this idea, and he's kind of going through the details of it. In my head, I'm like, I don't know, well, fuck it, let's try it. So we do it, and it's actually really cool. That was probably one of the coolest. Pictures, ads. It became a poster, and it said like, the door to the future is open. Will you step through, or something to that
that's
effect?
what we have. The poster.
We have the poster of that. And what I wanted to know,
it's me, Frank McGrath, and Eric Fankhauser.
What I wanted to know is those clothes you guys are wearing. Was that actually any of your clothes, or were those all like, it's like the most tattered sweatshirt you've ever like seen in your life? Like, where did they get that stuff for the picture?
So that's a good question.
I'm like, nobody's walking around in that, I don't think.
So some of that stuff was because Brian would be like, hey, if you have anything that, you've been wearing over the years that
for
you're
like the last
partial
60
to.
years.
Yeah.
Any antiques.
Yeah.
Bring it. And a lot of the stuff was like, you know, the stuff that we did genuinely own or, you know, wear from time to time. But then Brian would bring stuff too. And that's why he was so, the stuff, the photos that Brian captured were so awesome because he put so much work into it. I mean, there were photographers that I shot with over the years that maybe from a technical standpoint, they were really fantastic. But they would shoot you in the middle of like a Planet Fitness. And it's just going to be a different photo. Like Brian would be like, oh, there's this gym and the backdrop and it's this really cool place. And he really just got into the whole thing. And, you know, him being a gym owner, you know, he owned Better Bodies in Manhattan in the early 80s. And he was just someone who's been a part of that gym culture for a long time. So aesthetically, you know, he had just a lot of ideas in his mind and it would come through in photos. And I mean, to this day, the photos that he's taken of me are absolutely my all-time favorite.
I think I think you touched on something there that's really interesting. It didn't really click with me till right now is like, you look at the photo and you can definitely spot, you know, bodybuilding photos from the early 2000s and the 90s. And you're like, yeah, I know what era this was taken in. But looking at that photo of you guys, it's like, they're like these weathered warriors. And I honestly was this photo taken today, 10 years ago, 20.
That's true.
So it's like kind of this timeless piece where you could show it to people and it looks badass. It looks hardcore. And you don't even really know when it's from. It's like timeless.
That's definitely the genius of Brian's stuff because he was very much not into any kind of trends. And, you know, when you look at a lot of the work that's being done for different brands, whether people mean to or not, a lot of it follows certain trends. By Brian saying, well, listen, you know, whatever that tank top is that you've had for a long time, you've made it your own, bring it. But, you know, if you're wearing new Nikes to the gym, maybe leave those home. And by doing that, it prevents the image itself from being dated because you have no reference.
Yep. That's a good point. And it helps too if nobody has like a 2001 Jay Cutler haircut where you're like, people had their hair like that.
I actually just talked to Jay earlier.
Yeah, he does really well, right? Like, I mean, he's got a lot of stuff going on from like
always got stuff going on, and yeah, we I just started. Are you guys familiar with Telegram at all?
We're going to ask you about it. Actually, I am barely not familiar with it at all, but Tommy brought it up here.
I've just seen it, pop up here and there in some things, but I haven't personally used it before.
So, I mean, mainly, I think most people are using it to communicate with their drug dealer.
Well,
but it's an app. But one thing that you could do on it is you can have you post what are called these like circles, and they're like these 1-minute videos. And a buddy of mine had this idea. He's like, why don't you get together some of your bodybuilding buddies?
Yep.
And kind of create like an online, like a group chat, like a conversation. Then people can subscribe. They can watch you guys bullshit. People will probably find it interesting. And the list of guys has grown, but it's me, Chris Tuttle, Jose Raymond, James Hollingshead, Flex Lewis,
Lee Priest. I think I saw on
dude.
There.
Yeah. Have you heard any of Lee's stories?
Well, I know he's got some wild stuff, so it stuck out to me when I saw him in there too.
Yeah, wild is putting it mild. And there's Fuad, Flex Lewis, Guy Cisternino, and Jay. We were having a conversation. Don't know if it'll happen, so it might or might not. But maybe he'll join in. And it's become really interesting. And I'm not a huge social media guy. I'm not as active as I should be, by my own admission. But with this, it's like so easy, and it's like you want to partake in it because you're just having like a group chat with your friends, and it's fun. But yeah. Something new. So
people can, would you say, they could go subscribe to your Telegram your feed on there if they want to? Is that what it is, or?
Yeah. So you don't pay for it or anything, but you subscribe and you get a notification when someone posts, which, a given day between all of us, there ends up being like 100 or so of these things. It's crazy. And we're not even trying to do that, but it just ends up happening. But the biggest challenge has been because you say Telegram, and most people are like, I don't know what that is. So the hardest part is communicating to people what it is and what you're doing. But once they see it, they're like, oh my God, this is great. This is hilarious.
But you made the drug dealer comment because like the platform, it's not really regulated.
Well, because I think don't they go for more of a, like it's encrypted and they kind of are more of supporters of free speech than perhaps maybe like Facebook or Instagram would be. I guess that's where I was seeing some of the things of them pop up with.
Yeah, that's the impression that I'm under. Like, it's not, for better or for worse, I don't think there's any kind of community standards or guidelines. If they were, Lee would be in trouble. Oh God, the best. Lee is telling this story the other day, and he's saying, I don't even know how we got on the subject, but he's like, my ex-wife and I, this guy was riding her. Or I'm sorry, she was riding this guy. Hopefully he wasn't riding her. My ex-wife is riding this guy, and I'm standing off to the side, and the next thing I know, I feel somebody sucking my dick, and it's him. And then like people started calling me and text messaging me, and they're like, "What did you hear? What Lee said?" So it's pretty hilarious.
Well, that's the old.
He's got some stories.
Yeah. It's the old. I'm not gay. He sucked my dick.
That was the argument. It was kind of like, well, it's only gay if you think it's gay. Or you want it to be gay.
Yeah,
there's probably a bigger debate there.
Yeah, we'd have to get Lee on to really get to the bottom of that one, I guess.
He's actually a great guy. He's hilarious to talk to. He's really likable.
Yeah. So you have been, you're naming a bunch of guys here, and obviously you had a fairly long career, so you've got to compete and know a ton of guys. Do you stay in touch with a lot of the guys that you were competing against through the years?
I mean, I definitely stay friendly. I've always gotten along pretty well with everybody. Yeah, I mean, well, especially now that we're doing this thing, yeah. Probably maybe not as much as I should have, just because I'm always so busy day to day, with what I've got going on and whatever. But, here and there would be a phone call, but it's not like, for better or for worse, it's not like I'd be jumping on a plane to go visit, guys that I've met along the way or maintained a friendship with. If anything, it would be a call. How you doing? Or, are you going to be at the Olympia? Oh, let's grab a bite to eat, when we're both there, things like that.
Yeah. And you mentioned it there, and referring back to your Wikipedia page, it told me you were going to compete in 2020 somewhere, and I think it was canceled because of COVID or something like that. Did Wikipedia have that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Geez, boy, somebody's really staying current.
So do you have plans of competing anymore, or like what, where are you at on that?
Well, was it 2016 or 17? I ended up blowing my quad tendon, and
I got surgery. Read about that on you slipped on ice. Yeah.
Nice. And if you read about the injury, that's actually the number one way that it occurs.
Oh,
it's not from the fall, but when you begin to slip, you have this immediate reaction to try to regain your balance. You jerk, and the muscle tightens up really fast. So, obviously the bigger the muscle, probably the more force you generate. And I'm not it's not like I'm the type of guy who ever trained explosively. So my tendons and stuff probably just weren't used to that sudden jolt, and boom, it was enough to rip it right off the kneecap. So, you get it reattached, and dude, honestly, it took me forever. It was like a few years, and things just still didn't feel normal. I couldn't do a leg extension. A lot of people I spoke to didn't have anywhere near the experience that I had. They came back a lot faster. They felt better, but it was a while. And then, I got myself to the point where I felt confident enough. So I started getting ready for 2020. That got canceled. And I'm at the point now, my hips, they feel so shot. I think, to be totally honest, I think I have a torn labrum in my right hip, but I haven't, definitively determined that. And I think at this point, especially with everything that's been going on, and A lot of guys have dropped dead.
Right.
I don't.
Right.
I don't know that I'm not. And to be totally honest, I mean, I'll always train. I'll always love bodybuilding, but to be good, I mean, you have to be so immersed in it, and so, like I said earlier, you've got to be obsessed. And if I'm honest enough with myself, I don't feel that way.
Mm-hmm.
It's one thing to get in really great shape for a photo shoot or, for a certain event or whatever it is, but to be able to be competitive, you have to train a certain way. And I don't really feel that I'm able to train the way that I would need to train to be competitive or to look the way that I would want to look. And the last thing I'd want to do is get out there and embarrass myself.
Yeah, that makes sense. Totally understandable. Talking about just a couple quick bodybuilding questions I had on the list. So in your opinion, who has the greatest physique of all time?
The greatest physique. That's a good question. Honestly, maybe Sean Ray.
Okay.
Usually people say, who do you think's the best bodybuilder?
Well, that was my
time?
follow-up question. Is it the same person or is it a different person?
No. Who's the greatest? Who's the best? I'm sorry. Who's the greatest of all time? Who's the best Mr. Olympia of all time? Who's the best physique? I'd give you 3 different answers to all of them. So if you said who was the best physique, I would probably say, excuse me, Sean Ray.
Okay.
If you took Sean Ray and you made him 5'11" and you expanded him proportionally, I don't think there's anyone who would have ever beat him. He was really fantastic. Who was the best Mr. Olympia of all time? I probably would say Lee Haney. To be an 8-time Mr. Olympia, really undisputed. It's not like there were any years where you could say, well, the guy in second really could have won. There was none of that. And really, when you look at the type of ambassador that he was really incredible. And who's the greatest? We got to just say Arnold.
Yeah. That, the comment you made, there's no, with Lee Haney, there was basically no doubt on all of those wins.
All definitive wins.
Yeah, it is the case. That's kind of a tricky part about bodybuilding, maybe sometimes, especially for those of us outside looking in, there's like a little more subjectivity to it, or maybe other politics at play or something, because with some of the other Olympia winners, there has been years where it is maybe not the popular opinion that they should have won, right? I mean, that's a real thing that happens. Like,
yeah,
I mean, people will claim that about like Ronnie's last win, right? Or like at the end of his career that I just heard that before. I don't know enough about it to say that much about it, but I just know I've heard that before about some of his last wins, that he wasn't in the same shape that he was at the beginning of his career.
Well, that's for sure. I mean, I think there's a few things. A lot of times, and I've witnessed this myself, I've been at shows, right, in the second or third row, watching the show. Come home, and I know the impression that I'm left with in terms of who I thought should have placed where. I come home, maybe look at photos, and I go, oh my God. Like, if I was basing my opinion on these photos alone, it would probably be very different than the impression I was under or the opinion I had having attended it in person and watched it live.
Right.
That is very real. And I know people will mock that and they'll go, well, you're saying that a high def camera, yes, 100%. It's very different in person.
Oh,
1,000%.
And I believe that too, because in most photo editing things, like I do when we edit photos, there's one little slider you can crank up and all of a sudden the contrast on your veins and everything goes crazy. Like, that's a great point. And I believe that all day.
And there literally are instances where you say you had to be there to see the quality in this person's physique. So there's that. Beyond that, I think the whole, political thing, I think it's overstated. I'm not saying it doesn't exist or that there isn't maybe a bias, or if Ronnie Coleman is the reigning champ, do you have to really knock him out? Probably.
Yeah, that makes sense too. Yeah.
And should it be that way? Well, maybe not. But I do believe there's maybe a touch of that. If you're going to knock out the champ, you have to really knock him out. I can't really think of too many instances over the years where, and I'll usually excuse myself from giving a definitive opinion if I wasn't there in person, but there's only been a couple in person where I watched it and then the result, I was like, where the fuck did that come from? Not often. I think they usually get it right.
That's good.
But it happens.
Okay. All right. We've got this little game we play with everyone that we have on here. It's called Overrated, Underrated. And we've got a special set of topics that we handpicked for you. And it's your job to decide if each one is overrated or underrated. You can elaborate on that as much or as little as you want to, but the big thing you got to remember is you can't ride the line. You have to come up with an answer at the end. Okay. So overrated or underrated sewing?
Underrated. I mean, think about it. I mean, the things that you could create. It's infinite. It's awesome. It's fundamental. It's like cooking, sewing. It's truly a gateway activity.
Well, and you've taken it up more as of late, or at least we saw something about that. And I also know you welding, metal fabrication, and other things. So do you kind of are you predisposed to enjoy just creating in general? Do you like woodworking also, or how does it, what do you?
Yeah, I mean, I think honestly, we all are. I mean, as not to sound like a wacko or anything, but right? I mean, that's what we do as people. We make shit. I mean, we build things, we develop technology, we make babies, we grow things, and it's all creation. I mean, you move into a house, you decorate it a certain way. It's all forms, I think, of creation. And I think it's something that's so fundamental, but maybe we don't always think about it in those terms. But yeah, the thought of making something or building it or creating it from scratch. And I think that's why bodybuilding was always so appealing to me. It was an opportunity to literally, I mean, going from being a fat 13, 14-year-old kid, saying I'm literally going to make my body what I want it to be, or make my life what I want it to be. And it's all just forms of creation.
It's like Arnold in Pumping Iron. Doesn't he talk about, you add a little bit of clay. Yeah.
Take a little there.
Yes. Okay.
So yeah, I mean, sewing, it's just another medium.
Yeah. All right, cool. Overrated or underrated black and white photography?
Overrated. And as somebody even who's been the subject of a lot of black and white photography, and I think maybe the conception is that it's more hardcore, but I've seen a lot of photos that were black and white, and then later on, maybe Brian showed them to me in color, and I'm like, fuck, why didn't they run this in color? Yeah. And he's like, I tried to tell him. Who's been doing a lot of that lately? I don't know if you guys follow Charles Lothian. He's a photographer from Australia, and he'll put it a lot in his stories, black and white versus color.
Okay.
And amazingly, a lot of times people pick color, and he has a hardcore audience. So black and listen, don't get me wrong, black and white's awesome. I mean, some of the coolest images I've ever been the subject of or admired on somebody else were black and white, but color can be badass too.
I think that's good insight into that answer.
I'm always partial towards color. I want to see those colors,
Right.
Well, yeah, because maybe you could see some dirt, or if for sure, say for example, those tank tops. If Brian had us wear a tank top and it was a white, well, it used to be white, but now it's yellowed.
Yeah,
you miss that in black and white.
Right.
In color, you get to see the age of something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that makes sense.
Or how dirty it is, or things like that.
Right. Okay. Overrated or underrated? The Arnold title, winning the Arnold.
Overrated or underrated? I'm going to say underrated. Underrated because I think the Arnold is as somebody who's competed in both the Arnold and the Olympia, obviously You're never going to top the Olympia prestige. As a competitor, though, the Arnold was a better show to compete in, better show to participate in. It was better run, had a better expo, and I don't know. I don't even like Las Vegas. I know I'm probably contrary to how most people feel. Everybody loves an excuse to go to Vegas. The Arnold title, though, I think it is underrated. I don't think it's that far away from the Olympia. Let's put it this way. If you can win the Arnold, you're a contender for the Olympia.
Yeah, that makes, and it feels like maybe, and this again is like an outsider looking in.
We have been to the Arnold,
we have
we
gone to the finals.
Yeah,
it was the year Cedric McMillan.
Yeah, he beat Dallas McCarver, I think. That
year.
And those two, from us not knowing bodybuilding, we could watch and see it's like, it's between these two.
Those two are different than everyone else that's up there. Yeah, but it's felt like the Arnold's maybe gotten overlooked a little bit the last few, like just the hype around the Olympia is so crazy that I don't know. Maybe there's no truth to that.
I've always been so partial to the Arnold, both as a competing athlete, also as an attending athlete. The years I went just maybe to work the show, I mean, the Arnold Expo is second to none. I don't know. I love the Arnold.
Do you go to the? I mean, there wasn't an animal cage this year. I mean, in the past, have you gone and hung around, been a part of some of that stuff in other years?
Yeah, every year, I think since 2006 or 7 was the first time I went. I don't think I ever missed a year in those. Even when I was competing, I would still, come over and stop by the cage.
So can you provide any insight? Is there any chance of that coming back?
I don't know. I think I would never speak for them, but if I had to guess, when COVID struck, it was literally the night before. I had all my shit packed, and I was leaving the next morning for the Arnold.
Yeah, we were the same. We had our trailer packed, ready to drive from South Dakota to Ohio.
Right.
Yeah.
And when I got the news that it was canceled, I was like, "Wow, this COVID thing, I guess, is like, this is real." And if I had to guess, I would think, and listen, the way that Animal did it, and this is one of the best things about them as a company, they always did things so legitimately. You have a lot of brands, they pop up, and maybe they have some success, and then whoever's running it, they're stuffing as much money as they can in their pockets, and, maybe in a few years it'll be around, and maybe it won't. Animal, I mean, Universal's around since 77, the company was started. They're probably the oldest running bodybuilding supplement company out there. And as such, I mean, if you go down and you visit their headquarters, they have like a campus. They do all their own manufacturing. They've got like a dozen buildings. They're able to do all their own testing. I mean, they're very, very legitimate. And that's how they always conducted things. And as an athlete, being on the other end of that was always really appreciated. To be with an official company who treats you with respect, and they do things really on the up and up and not doing things like a bunch of, ham and eggers. So I think they probably, during COVID realized, we didn't do the cage. We didn't exhibit for it was like 2 years, and they probably didn't see any kind of decline in their sales. And they probably figured, you know what? Let's take this money and invest it somewhere else in the company. I'm guessing.
Yeah.
I'm guessing.
I mean, I would be shocked if they actually, if their business went down at all during those 2 years. I would assume they did really, really well.
I think it went up. And I think they probably, after seeing that, and listen, I mean, to do the cage, that was a really big, that's a big,
that doesn't happen accidentally.
Expense.
Yeah.
All the people you're sending, all the hotel rooms you're paying for, all the food you're paying for,
getting all the equipment set up and everything in there.
They would ship out, 18 wheelers full of stuff.
Yeah.
I can't imagine the cost that it incurred. So they probably maybe got to the point where they found they had a hard time justifying it.
Yeah, that all makes total sense. But just as someone, as people that also go, and as we have,
it's so cool.
We have a booth every year. It's just a real fun experience that it's hard to replicate with anything else. So I just hold out hope that it comes, that it does exist again. Yeah.
So selfishly, I hope it comes back. I would love to attend again on their behalf and just be a part of it, because it's really unlike, at least from what I know. Maybe there's other companies now doing it big and doing something really creative, but it was kind of unlike anything else that was going on. And I've seen some really cool stuff in that cage. Probably the coolest thing was who was it? It was two guys, and they deadlifted.
It was first Steve Johnson and world record breaker Savage. What's his name? Rob. Hall.
Yeah, right.
And one of them got rhabdo, I think, from it.
Dude,
actually,
that was one of the best things I've ever watched.
Where they deadlifted, they ended up doing like 70 reps
It was
of
something like that. Something that didn't make any sense.
like I don't know what the weight was even now at this point. It was like 6 or 7 plates or something like that. But it was like,
dude,
yeah,
it was an absolute bloodbath.
Weren't they like cutting chunks off their hand
Yeah.
and still going? It was.
it was really a test of two
yeah.
wills at that point of like who like be like I'm not gonna be the guy to I won't say mercy, you know.
Seeing I think it was Eric Lillybridge.
Yeah.
Some of the squats he did in the cage. Kid Jesse Norris, who at like 18 years old, he did some crazy stuff. The guy, he's only like 140 pounds. What was his
The
name?
Ant,
The black
Richard
kid.
Hawthorne.
Yes, there you go,
yeah.
Oh my God, his stuff was some of the maybe the most impressive I've ever seen.
Yep.
Yeah, watching him deadlift is crazy. Though.
Yeah.
It's like
Crazy.
it doesn't seem like it's real.
Yes.
Sam Bird,
Yeah.
some of the stuff he did, freaking no-handed squats, just really cool stuff.
Yeah. Yes, that is cool. That's why it's like a prestigious thing for all those guys to get to lift in there. So for that reason, also just like knowing a lot of those guys, it'd be fun for them to have that opportunity to continue to be able to lift there.
Eric Spotto, the raw bench, some awesome stuff over the years.
Yes. Okay. Last overrated, underrated topic, and we usually save the best for last, and it's kind of worth all the marbles. So, overrated or underrated diesel lawn tractors?
Oh, so underrated. So underrated. Let me tell you about my 3-cylinder Yanmar diesel John Deere.
Yeah. What all do you have for lawn tractors or lawn mowers and stuff? Because I know you kind of have a collection.
I've got way too much. So John Deere hit like its heyday in like the mid to late 80s. They were just putting out some really, really awesome shit. And I've got 3 of them. 2 of them they're a model called the 318. One of them, I've got a blower on it with a cab for snow removal.
Yep.
Yeah.
The diesel, I keep a 4-way plow on that because the reality is if you get slushy snow, the blower sucks. So you need the plow.
That's true.
One of them I would use just to cut with, but that one I'm actually going to sell. And I now have a stand-up Skag. You ever seen the ones where they stand on the back?
Yeah, they're like it's like I have it almost.
And it's a mower.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's no seat. Like it's not like a riding.
I've
Nope.
never seen this.
Nope.
How do you like that?
So badass.
Yeah. Okay. Is that cool then? Or what?
Dude, it's awesome. I can cut my lawn in 2 directions faster than I used to cut it with the tractor.
Yeah.
Dude, they're wicked expensive. I
That's what I wondered,
stole
yeah.
this one. Dude, you're talking like 11,000 for that fucker. This dude had one on Craigslist and he had it listed for like $6,500. Had like 50 hours on it. It was like brand new. And I was like, I don't know, this got to be a scam. I called on it. The guy gives me this story. Well, I'm a landlord and one of my tenants bought it for his son to start a landscaping company, but then it never happened. It's been in storage. And in my head, I'm like, come on, that's bullshit. Either it's stolen.
It's hot.
So what you're telling me, buddy, is your tenant who rents a fucking apartment from you has enough money to buy his son an $11,000 mower.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm like, this is bullshit. It's got to be bullshit. But then I go there. It's perfect. The guy's actually pretty normal. And I give him $6,000 for it. So it worked out. It worked out great. And I love it.
Yeah. That's one of the first things I remember seeing about you. I don't know if I saw it on your page and mentioned something to it or whatever it was, but I kind of have an interesting John Deere mower that I use for my yard now. They didn't make them for very long. I'm curious if you know about these. It's a SST 16, and it was SST is spin steer technology. They only made
It's
them for.
not the one with the engine in the back.
No, the engine's in the front. But I do also have an F510 that has the engine in the back and the deck in the front. But the SST16, it has a steering wheel. Mm-hmm. But the front wheels are just, and it looks like a lawn tractor. It's the basic shape of a like your 318. It's kind of that shape. But the front wheels are both just like oscillating wheels, like the front wheels of a shopping cart. And the steering, it looks like a regular steering wheel, but you only turn the wheel like a quarter turn each way. And it is a 0 turn then. It would usually be on other brands of lawn tractors, or like John Deere now, it's the Z-Track where they have the 2 handles and it's a 0 turn. But this is a steering wheel that serves the same function as like, the hydrostatic turning.
So it's like a 0 turn yard tractor
with a steering wheel that, typically on those, you'd crank the wheel around a few times and it makes the turn. But this is like literally just like a quarter of a turn. And one of the rear wheels stops, So what year is this thing from? It's like a 2005. They only made it for a couple of years because I don't think people liked that form of steering. It is can be really squirrely and takes a long time to get used to. It is weird.
Interesting.
Yeah.
It's got a Kohler or a Kawasaki motor.
It's a Kawasaki. Yep.
Nice.
Yep.
Nice.
Yep.
Liquid cooled?
It's air cooled. Yeah, it's air.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah,
that's cool. No, I'm totally not familiar.
Okay, my most exciting part of having you on the podcast was getting to talk John Deere lawn tractors. That was the part saving it for the very end because that's going to be the cherry on top.
I've got the coolest John Deere sign in my garage. It's from a dealership. It's one of the ones that goes outside. You've seen it?
You sent a picture of it to me years ago because I actually was checking in the old pictures of looking at what lawn tractors you had because you've sent me before, and I saw that sign and I'm like, oh, that's someone would pay a lot of money for that sign. Actually,
I got that thing for $350.
Oh, someone would probably pay thousands for that.
It's probably worth it.
Yeah.
The guy was an authorized Deere dealer, and no more. It came to an end. I was eating one night and I was on like Facebook Marketplace, and like it was posted like 15 minutes ago, and it's in Bridgeport. So it's like the next town over. And I'm like, oh my God. I called the guy. I literally went there right then and there and bought it. That thing would have definitely be gone.
Yeah. That's a sweet score.
Got him.
So good news. It looks like you passed overrated, underrated.
Oh, good.
And it's pretty important to do so. That means we will air this episode and everything. Then we don't have to scrap it. So,
but people fail sometimes.
Not yet, but we still like to grade it. Yeah. It always could happen.
There's going to be one sometime.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So it is good news. No, we really appreciate you getting on, and I know where should people go check your stuff out? I think your website is actually Centopani.com, which I thought, wow, that's crazy. He got just his last name as the website. How did you get that?
I mean, really, there's nobody else really with that. I mean, if you have that last name, you're related to me. Okay. And I'm the only one in my family that would have a website. So
that makes sense. Yeah.
I just kind of commandeered the name.
So is that where people should, if they wanted to check stuff out, is that best place to go?
Probably the best thing is just go to my Instagram, because that's where I post recent stuff. And then I've got my link tree there. So, whether it's training services or, you want to get over to Telegram, find me that way. And I guess we didn't even get a chance to touch on it, but I've actually been doing financial services now for the last year or so.
Oh, we didn't know that.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So that's your.
So whoever's doing my Wikipedia better fucking sharpen up.
So do you mean do you do like personal financial consulting, like stuff like that, or what do you?
Yeah. A lot of times it could mean, maybe protection planning. It's about half of the business is protection planning. The other half of it being more accumulation oriented. So for retirement planning and, basically asset accumulation, investing. But the other half it being life insurance and other protection products. So it's interesting work. It's actually been really exciting. It's been awesome because I've gotten to work with a lot of people from the industry, people who own businesses, athletes, influencers. So it's it's been really cool.
Do you know about our lift shorts at all? As long as we're
Probably.
talking asset accumulation.
Yeah, it's something I usually slip into most people's portfolios.
Usually just partial shares, I assume, because of the cost.
Most people cannot afford a full share.
No short positions there.
Yeah, going long on shorts.
That was good.
Okay, all right, perfect. Well, we really appreciate getting you on. This was really fun. I think people are going to enjoy listening to this one.
Oh, good. Listen, I really appreciate you guys having me. I'm a big fan. Really enjoyed following you guys over the years, and obviously continue to do so. So keep up the great work.
Awesome.
Thanks a lot, Evan.
Great. Talk to you guys soon. Take care.
Yep. See ya.
Cool beans. Cool beans.
He gets the cool beans.
You gave him the double cool beans
He got
there,
the
didn't
cool
you?
beans.
A double shot.
That was a lot of fun.
That was a good one.
Yeah, you just never know some people what you're going to be in for. But
Yeah, life is like a box of chocolates, and so are podcast guests. You never know what you're going to get.
not that we ever have bad guests.
No, they're all good.
But that one was fun. People that have been around a little while and seen some things, they have great stories to share, don't they?
They do. Yeah, if that was a box of chocolates, what one do you think Evan would have been?
Oh man.
Because those chocolates like that, though, those boxes of chocolates are pretty gross.
Oh,
Is
definitely.
there any chocolates in there that are actually good?
Anything that's just like regular dark chocolate.
It's such a gamble, though. You never know what the thing is.
And then you get that shitty like fruit filling one. That's like I don't even know.
For
if
some
this
reason, they're
qualifies
all
as-
that, and that's the most
I know.
disgusting thing.
Or like it's like it's not fruit, but it's like a red, or it's like
It's
a fruit
red,
flavored
yeah.
nougat of some kind. Like
Who likes those?
I don't know. Those aren't good. I just want chocolate. I just want dark chocolate. And if you want to put something in it, give me some caramel or something.
Like, do you think the market on those boxes of chocolates like that has tanked over the last?
It's actually
like,
a good question. Like, have people just given up on
People
those?
are like, no, they make a lot of good stuff that you know exactly what you can get. Like, and also that's kind of cliche to get that for someone. I'm not going to get them a disgusting box of chocolates that nobody actually wants to. That you take a bite and go,
yeah, this mystery box.
yuck.
Yeah, where 2/3 will get thrown away. It's,
Like, why are so many of them so bad?
I don't know. I think it's calibrated for a different for a flavor profile of years past. You know, like now
When things just weren't good,
Yeah,
and
in
you're
this
like,
day and
no,
age-
we can impress
yeah,
them with this.
in
They're
this-
not used to good taste and shit.
yeah, people are used to eating like what porridge and toast. Like anything that's sweet,
They're
is
gonna
be
love
good.
this.
It's like, well, tastes have evolved, and now everything tastes great. So you got to really step your game up now. You can't phone that one in.
You can't just fill it with like some old disgusting
Like,
red shit you
yeah,
had laying around
They're
the
not
factory.
competing against just the fruitcakes anymore. Like there's actually good stuff. Like I guess if your options are fruitcake or a box of random chocolates, like the box of random chocolates always was going to win.
True.
But now that you have more choices than random chocolates and fruitcakes,
Now it's like, no, I like chocolate. I'm going to go to the store and I'm going to buy that exact chocolate that I know I love. Like this,
I can get it the amount of cocoa or whatever the hell is down to an exact percent. Like
that's, you know what? Speaking of those, I don't even know. I don't eat a lot of chocolate, but if I do, what I want is those, they're thin squares. It's like maybe 1.5 inches by 1.5 inches, and they come in a shiny foil wrapper.
Yeah, and it's
it's
like
got
a-
the percent on it, you know? Those are so good. Because I like really dark, like almost the darker. I haven't found a percent that it's
I
almost
thought
too
I
much
liked the
for
really
me.
dark stuff until
Yeah.
I found one of those and it was like 85%.
That's,
I'm
I like
oh, let's do
86
it.
is one I
And
really
it kind
like.
of felt like I was eating coffee grounds, kind of. Like
I have absolutely no idea why I really like
I
those.
needed a little sweetness in, but yeah, milk chocolate. I'm like over that now. It doesn't really do it for me anymore.
Dark is better.
Oh, 100%.
Even like, because they're like 72, I think is a common dark one. That's real good. I like all the dark ones, but the darker on the spectrum, I found I kind of even enjoy it more. I don't know if it like slows down the process for me, so I just like enjoy it more slowly, and then I get more satisfaction from it.
Challenging yet rewarding. I think is
Yeah, I want to. If I'm going to eat something good, I want to have to put work into having it.
let's not make this so simple here. Yeah. I have a very refined palate, you know. Do you have any idea how many flavored cans of water I've drank in my day? The most discerning taste.
I can guess the most slightly flavored water of what it is.
I can tell whether a can has an essence of lime or hibiscus in it.
Maybe we should do that sometime. Do like 3 different dark chocolates and be like, guess the percentage,
guess the percentage here.
of dark chocolate in this one.
Yeah, we'll make it happen.
Yeah, those boxes of chocolates, though, disgusting. Would not recommend. You know what I would recommend, though?
What's that?
I'd recommend opening your ear holes for just a second because I got something real good to fill you in on.
This is the Strength Company. We've set out to build a better barbell plate on American soil. We ended up here at Wisconsin's legendary Wapaka Foundry. With over 60 years of ironworking experience, the foundry had the knowledge, technology, and processes to build our weights to our exact specifications. The Strength Company plates are slim but rugged, smooth but easy to grip, and electro-coated for durability and to look great in your gym. This is the next generation of American iron. Only available from the Strength Company.
The next generation's here, old man.
If that doesn't want to make you get off your ass and go buy some Strength Co plates,
I might just go right back to the gym right
we're
now.
going to have to check you for a pulse.
Yep. Because you ain't living.
It makes me want to go buy 5 sets of 45s, 1 set of 35s, 2 to 3 sets of 25s, 2 to 3 sets of 10s, 2 sets of 5s, and 1 set of 2.5.
And you're even holding back there.
I
know
know
you want to
that's,
say bigger
that's
numbers,
just a
but
reasonable.
That's just to get started.
Yeah, that's just an
That's
entry
from listening
level.
to the ad once. Don't make him listen to it twice.
It also makes me want to like us hire that narrator and be like, "Welcome to the Massenomics podcast. They're silly but rugged.
Yeah.
They like cans of water and ads." It's like throwing in a lot of ends and buts.
Yeah,
or,
yeah.
like
It's the contrast.
And it's just conjunctions.
Mm-hmm.
Like Schoolhouse Rock conjunction.
I can see
conjunction.
it. I can see it all in my head.
Yeah.
We'll
So
work on
thank you, the Strength Co.
I'm also going to tell you about one other thing.
Hello.
Vocally isn't quite as exciting, but the message.
Yeah,
the message is what matters here. The message is great.
Punch, yeah.
This episode is also brought to you by Fusion Sports Performance Supplements. Do you know what's in your supplements? If you use Fusion Sports Performance, you always will. Fusion SP prides itself on being fully transparent, never using proprietary blends, and always providing its customers with top quality products. They offer 2 pre-workout options with Super Soldier Pre-Workout and Mad Titan High Stim Pre-Workout. Both have proven ingredients at their full clinical doses to maximize performance, increase muscular endurance, improve focus, and get you that much sought-after pump. Both are favorites among strength sport athletes. Healing Factor Post-Workout combines BCAAs with a full serving of creatine monohydrate and other great ingredients to help maximize your efforts in the gym, build muscle, and recover fast. Fusion's Whey Protein Isolate not only tastes great, it also has 27 grams of protein per scoop, 0 fat, and low or no carb options depending on the flavor. It doesn't contain any soy or gluten, and it won't cause any stomach discomfort. Available on vanilla ice cream, frosted cinnamon roll flavor, and Massenomics' favorite, chocolate of some sort.
It does not taste like those chocolate candies in a box of chocolates.
No, there's a reason it's not called box of chocolate.
No, it's like decent chocolate. It's edible.
Edible chocolate. Most orders are shipped within 1 business day, and every Fusion Sports Performance product comes fully backed with a 30-day money-back guarantee. Go to fusionsp.net and use code MASS to save a huge 20% on your order.
Can you imagine if they did flavor it like box of chocolate? You take one drink and be like,
yeah. Like this scoop has red stuff in it, and this one's all chocolate. What's going on?
Yes. I would not want my protein life to be like a box of chocolates where each scoop is like, each scoop's a mystery what the flavor is until after you put it in your mouth.
Yep.
Who wants that?
No, that'd be the worst.
We did hint at the other shirt.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
So the other shirt is, what is the name of the other shirt?
It's the Varsity Script.
Okay, the Varsity
Script.
And it's on a heathered maroon color we've also never used before. So we have 2 new tea colors in this drop with the Daddy's Home and the
Varsity
lime
Script.
neon green, and then the Varsity Script on the heather maroon color, which is a really cool color shirt.
Yeah, we have you could maybe say baseball inspired with the text across the front, with the it's just Massenomics large with the script on it, and then back extra big, extra large, Western, North, East, South Dakota with the Massenomics logo, and that thing pops.
It does. Well, the
not quite
Daddy's Home
not quite
really
as much as the Daddy's Home one, but
Daddy's Home might pop like no other shirt we've ever had before.
Visually, yeah, your eyeballs can't not see it.
But I think what you said before is a really good descriptor of this. This is like
I should change that. It is a going out tee.
Yeah.
It's also a great gym tee too.
That's true.
But
I don't have one of that one yet, but that's one I will be adding to my personal collection.
I know it's good when I walked home or when I got home after we took photos, and my wife goes, "Oh, I like that. I want one of those." And I'm like, okay, now I know. Now I know we've hit
that passes
going
a
out
good
levels
test.
here.
Yeah, right. It is a good one. I really like it. I don't know. It's a combination of the design and I like the maroon heather too. It's like, geez, why haven't we used that before?
I know. It's kind of a popular color around here too, and we've never used it. But now we got it.
The time is nigh. I don't know if that means now or not.
I don't have no clue what that means.
I just made it up. The last thing, we did have a chargeback story, but maybe we'll save that for next episode.
We can save it.
It's not timely because it actually happened months ago.
It's old.
Yeah.
It'll just be a filler item.
It is
it's a perfect filler. I think pushed it off like 2 or 3 weeks now.
It is a story that people will get a kick out of.
Oh, yeah, it's a good
I know
story.
that for sure. They'll be like, yeah, rants. I wish I had like a new powerlifting thing this week we could talk about that would get people upset. But
another hot take.
Yeah.
Another real hot take.
takes and cool. We've got the Massenomics podcast, hot takes and cool beans.
We've talked about that going on a shirt for a while.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. That's right.
One of these days.
I guess that's why that was in my head.
Yeah. It was planted there.
Yeah. It was a bean planted months ago. Mm-hmm. Is that about it we got for this week?
I think that's probably
buy the
everything.
items from the new drop. Get signed up to become a member of the Discord community.
Yeah, go massenomics.com/join, sign up. You get a discount code. You can join the Discord, get to hear the podcast live early before everyone else. And then, also go buy the stuff.
Yeah, buy all the new gear, buy all the old gear, and please leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. If you've been listening for a long time and you thought, God, I'm too cheap to buy their lift shorts or any of the other stuff. They're like, I don't know if I'm not ready to take the plunge on the supporting membership just yet. You could at least leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts and quit being such a damn freeloader around here.
Yeah, everyone's got to pay their way.
Yeah.
No free lunches here.
Not around here and not in our watch. Tommy, where do they find you?
You can find me at Tomahawk_D.
You can follow me at Tanner_Baird, but just make sure to follow Massenomics at Massenomics.
See ya.